Hello. Good evening. How are you guys doing? Happy Monday. Hello, hello. Welcome, welcome. Make sure you invite people. It's going to be a good one tonight. How is everyone's Monday? How's everyone's weekend? Congratulations! That's awesome. I'd love to hear more about that, for sure. Hello, hello. I'm just gonna wait a few minutes to get everyone settled. Join the live, make sure you share the live. How was everyone's weekend? Hello, hello. Nice, nice. Hopefully there's video, because I'd love to see it. Awesome. Hello, everyone. I'm telling you, if you haven't invited anyone to watch this live, I suggest you do that now, before we start. Hi, Emily. I will get you to join in the live very shortly. I'm just waiting for people to join in. How was everyone's weekend? Hello, hello. Hello, good evening. Happy Monday. Hopefully everyone had a very successful Monday. Hello, hello, welcome, welcome. Give it a few more minutes here to get everyone to join in. Till then, enjoy the music, get a drink, water, alcohol, juice, tea, and get settled in. We're gonna have a great conversation this evening. All right. I think it's time to get started. First, I'd like to say that was a song called Bass on Fire, sung by Colonel Robbers, composed by Mark Loquan and Sion Gomez. I don't know if you guys were listening, but our guest, her name was in that song. So, welcome to All Things Pan. I am your host, Danielle George. For those that are new to this page and now joining us this evening, on this page we talk to tuners, builders, panists, arrangers, promoters of pan, and pan enthusiasts of just pan, because, you know, all things pan. We are sponsored by Pantastics. I have their sticks right here. If you are looking for a set, please DM or private message Pantastics868. They're also pinned at the bottom here. They have everything from tenor sticks to bass sticks. If you live in North America, just message me and I will try my best to get them to you. I have a few tenor sticks here. I have I don't have bass sticks. That's the only thing I don't have, but I have everything else. So make sure you just these are amazing sticks. I have like 3 pairs, so get them. Before we start, I just want to get her on here. We have waiting for her to accept the live. Hopefully it went through. She is from Texas. As you guys know, it is Women's Month. Oh, you're gonna have to turn your
There we go.
Oh, the other way. There we go. We're celebrating women in the Pan community. So I thought, why not celebrate all women in Pan? So welcome, Emily. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. I'm still trying to adjust this time change.
I see. And I'm still trying to. I appreciate your patience with me as I am somehow being dragged kicking and screaming into the world of Instagram.
Well, welcome. I hope this is easy for you. We'll make this easy.
I'm not as old as that might make me sound.
Well, you look great.
I should apologize. Also, I am on the tail end of a cold as well, so my voice is maybe an octave lower than typical.
Okay.
But
that's okay. Most men may find that sexy, so.
Well, I don't know about the box of tissues next to me, but.
All good. So before we get started, for those that are watching, you are more than welcome to ask any questions for Emily, since she's on this live and cannot leave until I let her. So put them in the question bubble below so I don't miss it. So we'll start off easy, Emily. Who is Emily?
Well, hi. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so flattered you reached out. You interviewed so many interesting people here. In the context of all things Pan, primarily Emily is a Pan tuner, and there are many subsets of that. Almost everything that I do in my life is centered around Pan in one way or another. But that's part of what I love about my life and about my work, and that my superpower is making pans and tuning pans. But I want to hear some music on pans, so I write a song on pans. I want to see more women in the art form, so I stand up and I advocate for women. I want to, there's lots of different ways that I get to be involved in the art form more broadly than just this technical part of it. Yeah, so
awesome.
I'll sub pan tuning, but I am a pan person through and through.
Awesome. So how did your love for Pan come about?
Yeah, well, the American story is I think my story is pretty typical for an American panist. Very different than people coming from the Caribbean diaspora, who often are born into a culture that the pan is just ever present. Yeah. I almost never saw a pan until I was at university. And at that time, I was on an extremely classical track in classical percussion. And I was just really lucky that my percussion program, where in the US, which is different than Trinidad, the pan is treated as a member of the percussion family. So if you're studying percussion, sometimes you are lucky enough to get to play pan as part of those studies. And so I was in university and I thought that I was headed down this super rigorous, rigid, mechanical, like classical track. And I'm just so lucky that this was at Ithaca College, that at that university, Pan was considered a very normal member of the percussion family, and started playing when I was 17. And from there, it was really the result of just developing relationships with people that led me, like the instructor for my steel band at college was affiliated with the university that Ellie Manette was a part of. Right. And so I started, he started paving these pathways for me that led me to Ellie at West Virginia University. And so I I started playing pen, and I realized that the things that appealed to me about the instrument and the art form had so much to do with like how young it was and how alive, where like, you know, so much of what you do as a classical percussionist is like work for hours in a room alone trying to do your best to sound like a machine.
Yeah.
And you know, once I started intersecting with the pen, even just the American pen community, which intersected with the Trinidadian, like the Trinidadians who came to the U.S. to work as well.
Yeah.
I just realized how like I could be part of something so alive and so young. And you know, the like at West Virginia University, Ellie would host these week-long performance workshops where I started to go to, and one of the first people I met at 17 years old was Ray Holman. And we're in the middle of this band, and he's composing the music at us. And, you know, so he shows me a part and I play a part and says, oh, okay, you can hang. So we're going to turn this into like a cello sectional, you know, and so like a feature, a solo, you know, and like just to watch that level of talent just like unfold in front of me. And then meeting Ellie, you know, who was just so touched by genius, you know, like I'm lucky that he was doing anything that intersected with my life and my field at all, because if he was, you know, carving wood flutes in the forest, like I would have followed him out there. You know, he was just such a visionary, such a magnetic person that I just knew I wanted to be a part of this community. I wanted to be a part of this art form. I wanted to be part of something that I felt was really meaningful and exciting, and something that I could have an impact on, you know, that I might have something to contribute to it, as well as just to be like within the same space, in the same room, at the same table as people like Ray Holman and Ellie Manette. You know, very exciting.
I could only imagine. I could only imagine. So would you say that Ellie Manette was your inspiration into becoming a pan tuner and a builder?
All I knew was that I wanted to be around him. Right. You know, like the thing about pan tuning and pan making is that there's nothing else in your life that can prepare you for it. You know, it's not like, oh, well, you have a piano in your house, and so as a kid you mess around with it, and then you take some lessons and you discover you have an aptitude for this thing. Right. Like there's no like leading up to the study of making pan, you know. So I knew I wanted to be around him and around this culture. So after I graduated, I got a performance degree in percussion performance, and I went and just really like his training program was pretty open to anyone, and so I went and I said, can I come try? And he said yes, you know. And in my head, you know, I had a couple of criteria, you know. Will I be any good at this? Because you don't know. Are you good at hammering? Do you know? Like you don't know until you have a hammer in your hand. Am I any good at this? Will I like doing this? You know, like do I have a talent for this? Like you really can't know until you start trying. And so I like to think all those things are true. I do like doing it. I like to think I have some aptitude for it, you know. And yeah, it was such a gift to be able to spend so much time with somebody of his caliber and vision. And yeah, I have been personally just always propelled by like missions of importance, you know. Like when I was a little kid, I didn't say, oh, like I'm gonna grow up and be the first woman to tune for Panorama. You know, I didn't know what any of that was.
Right.
But I knew that I wanted to do something important. I wanted to do something meaningful. Um, and as I got older, I knew that that would be centered around music in some way. I feel so fortunate that like all of the decisions I made led me to be his student, and I like everything that he was about is important to me, which is about excellence and about legacy and about community. And yeah, like I feel like it's part of my mission of importance to carry on all of those things.
Yeah.
Everywhere I go. Yeah.
I love that. We're just going to go back a bit because I know you've played the 9 bass, which I applaud you for because that's my goal one day.
Yeah.
You played the
You gotta
quadraphonics.
elbow out a lot of people on the way to the
Oh,
rack.
okay.
Yeah.
Now I know. You played the quadraphonics. Yeah. You got quadraphonics, the four cello, the double seconds, the tenor. Is there and you played for Panorama pretty much everywhere. If you had a choice, is there a go-to pan that you would just love to play?
My favorite thing to play anywhere is iron.
Interesting.
I love the iron. Yes.
Okay.
I do. I think the iron is a under-respected instrument. I know you spoke with my friend Joy recently.
Yeah.
And we were at the Steel Pen conference in Iowa a couple weeks ago. And she in her clinic, she did some kind of hands-on, bring all the people up and they play pens. And her husband, Larnell Lewis, goes and sits down at the drums and say, I'm gonna go play iron because like to me the iron is such a like it's so important, and to do it well, and it's often something that like you know when you're putting together a performance is like maybe a last minute like okay who's not busy right now can play iron.
Yeah.
But such a fun like it's an extension of the drummer, so you have to do this like mind meld with the drummer, so it's fun to mind meld with Larnell Lewis.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean pan wise I just like to make myself useful. You know, I've kind of stumbled into instruments that I wouldn't have necessarily chosen. Wherever I tune, I like to play with the band as well, because I like to cultivate that relationship with the members of the band, and especially like as a tuner, so much of what you do is so solitary. And the older I get, the more important it is to me as a woman in the field to stand up and be seen.
Right.
So part of that is very intentional in like coming out of my tuning cave or wherever they put me to be involved in the product, as well. I've gone to London. Like I have a band in London I work for, and I a couple of years ago I told the arranger, like, I'll do anything you need. The only pan I've never played in Panorama so far is tenor pan, and I really don't want to. Like, that's not. He's like, we really need tenor pans, so you're gonna play tenor pan. So okay, so I can, or like in my very first Trinidad Panorama I ever played, I was with Invaders for semis, and I had been here in the US, I had been playing quadraphonic with a band, and I, like many Americans, like I hadn't had any relationship with Trinidad, and so sometimes the use of instruments is different than how they're used in Trinidad. And so here we were mostly using the quadraphonic to play like a cello line. And so I played with Invaders, and some other American was there a day or two before me and had told Invaders I played 4-pan. And so they put me on a 4 cello, which I'd never seen before. And I don't know how intimately particular arranger styles, but the joke of the cello players in Invaders with Arden Herbert is all you do all day is arpeggios, just like ba-digga digga digga, ba-digga digga digga, ba-digga digga digga, like all day
Yeah.
long. It's super busy. It was one of my favorite panorama experiences ever, but they didn't make finals. And so like there's a little gang of Americans with nothing to do before finals, and we run into Ray Holman, who says like, oh, Emily, like Silver Stars is just moving up, you know, from medium band. Why don't you go see if they need some players? Yeah. And I went and met Edwin Pouchette, and he asked what you play. I was, oh, I play quadros at home. He's like, we need you. Come join our band. And I'm listening. I'm like, well, I just got this big workout with Invaders. I'm listening to the cello part. It's pretty simple. Like, I think I can. It'll be nice. I can do it. And they set me up, and they send a tenor player next to me. I'm like, what are you doing here? You know? And he's like, oh, well, the quadros play the tenor line unless the tenors aren't doing anything, and then they play the next most busiest line. I'm like, oh my really? So I did, you know, and I'll say, you talk about hands like lightning. By the end of that, I had hands like lightning, and that was the first year Silver Stars won, you know, so like that was a great experience. And yeah, so yeah, I've had my superpower is tuning, but I've had a lot of fun playing also.
That's great. I would have cried if someone told me that. I'd been like, what?
I almost did. Because that first night too, he like did like he was going section by section, like play this part, and he came to quadros, and I was the only one there. And besides the fact that it was my first night there, like all the pans were twisted too, you know, like I had to figure it out. But yeah, happy ending. There's a happy ending to that story.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a good story to tell for years to come, for sure.
Yeah. And if you've ever been in the Silver Stars yard, like that championship is what paid for their lovely new lavatories. So you're welcome.
Billy has a question. Are you still tuning pan drums in Austin?
Yes, I'm in Austin now. Who are you, Billy? Oh, yes, you messaged me earlier today. I'm sorry, sir. I was preparing for this podcast.
I apologize, too. I didn't mean to take her away. Sorry.
It's your fault. Yeah.
Yeah, you can just blame it on me. So being in tuning pans for years, have you come across a pan that's been difficult for you? Like you just want to throw it away?
I think I literally said the sentence yesterday, you know, that it's very, like, it hurts my heart to ever look at a pen and say that it's trash. You know, like,
that's good.
Part of what I love doing is taking instruments that people think are disposable and making, like, breathing new life into them. But also, like, as recently as yesterday, I feel like I've seen pens that are, like, catastrophically, like, unsavable. And usually that has to do with failure of care, you know? Like, when you're in Trinidad, you'll see, like, bass pens, you know, repurposes, trash bins, you know, and, I mean, so much of that is just weather, you know? Like, nowhere to put them inside. Like there's so much stuff and only so many buildings, you know? So yeah, I mean, when you see big old bass pans that have been like left out in the rain, those are hard to save. I have seen pans before that were so badly out of tune that I had to figure out like a map of where the notes should be, you know, like some kind of antique pan maybe where it's a non-traditional layout, and I have to say, well, probably there aren't 3 C's on this side of a double second. Let me figure out what is supposed to be what. But that's kind of a fun challenge, you know. I like I mean the whole birth of the instrument is turning trash into art, you know, so I like it when I can do that.
That's good. You mentioned before about the care of pans, because I feel like there's panists out there that don't know how to take care of a pan. So from a tuner's perspective, what is your suggestions for taking care of the pans they own?
Uh, well,
To make your job
it's
easier.
hard. I feel like when I started this 20 years ago, we felt like the instrument can last forever.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure that's true anymore, both from just mental fatigue to the environmental like challenges. Like I was tuning instruments like yeah, I was tuning instruments a couple of days ago that had a whole combination of different kind of finish. Like some were spray painted, some had like auto body professional paint, some had chrome, and it was in a place that I know this program.
Yeah.
They primarily use instruments indoors. The directors care about the instruments. They're just old, and all of them are rusted. And it's like absolutely. I mean, the 2 minutes care and maintenance: keep your pan dry, keep your pan clean. Like, but they're made of a material that oxidizes. And this many years in, I'm like why do we paint them? Why do we chrome them? Yeah, it looks nice, but like we're trying to protect them from corrosion, which eventually ends up in destruction. Like rust is eating holes in your pan. And I'm not sure that there's any permanent solution. There's guys that have tried to make pans out of stainless steel and it doesn't work. There's but at the same time, like, that's part of what's exciting about being involved in a new art form. We're still messing around with stuff and trying to figure things out. But yeah, keep your pan dry, keep your pan clean, don't drop it. Like those are that's the easy short answer.
Yeah. As a pan tuner, because I've interviewed Augustus before, I've interviewed Ed Peters, and they've all talked about the science behind pan tuning.
Oh yes.
For those that are now joining, can you kind of explain a bit of the science behind it? Because every time I hear it, it blows my mind. Like, I've never realized all that knowledge that you need to know just to tune a pan.
Yeah. I describe it in a couple different ways. Sometimes I'll say tuning pan is like doing calculus with hammers on a piece of functional sculpture. Like it's 45% like skill and training, it's 45% like instinct and 45% magic. Like it's there's I did a clinic at Cornell University, which is full of real smart people. And they're asking me about like, well, surely we can figure out a way to, mechanize the tuning of pen. And I just sit down with them for 5 minutes and do a demonstration. Like, well, the reason that there's not enough pan tuners is not because it's not interesting. And it's not because we don't need them. And it's not because there's not room for them in this art form. A big part of it is because it's real hard, because you have these multiple pitches that live inside every note that need to be in tune at the same time. So it's like working on a Rubik's Cube, like, so you have to move things in a certain way and other things in a certain way, so that they all arrive at the solution at the same time. And it didn't take me 5 minutes before all those like, Cornell computer people to like oh no, like, yeah, like perhaps you can mechanize like the building of the pan, like, and there's people who flirted with the idea of like mass producing like the sink. But I mean, to those people, I've always said at the same time, like, what's the point? Like, if you can crank out 100 tenor pans in a day, you don't have enough tuners in the world to keep up with that. Like, and there's no way to mechanize the tuning part. It's so individual, and so there's too many variables.
Right. Going back to the tuning, um, what is, I think you kind of answered this before, but I was going to ask you, like, what is your one pet peeve when tuning pans? When you go to a band and you're just like, why?
Um, dirt, cobwebs, rodents.
Oh,
Yeah.
rodent.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Clean the insides of your pans, people. You
You
know,
heard it.
and yeah, like it's dirty work. It's dirty work. You know, and like you watch somebody tune a tenor pan, they flip it up to work underside, right?
Yeah.
Gotta do the same thing with a bass pan. When's the last time you turned your bass pans over? Look at what's inside there. There's cobwebs in there. There's bugs and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, like that stuff. At minimum, Windex your pens. The kids you have working on your instruments, they are filthy creatures. I say that as the caretaker of a couple of filthy creatures myself.
Yeah.
Like clean them, clean them, clean them.
Mm-hmm.
Keep your tuner happy by giving your tuner clean pens. And I like this subject, pet peeve. And don't send your tuner into a pan full of instruments and cases and closets. Have all your pens out so we can just walk through the band, see what's what, do our best work. If you have a 30-piece band and it's in a closet or a container and you want me to set the whole thing up by myself, your tuning time is over. Right? Like are you guilty?
No. I'm surprised that people do that.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it happens.
Wow.
I mean, and like I'm old enough and experienced enough now that I can just say I don't do cases, but like I don't need to make excuses for it, but like everybody's case is all jacked up in some way or another. You ever try to take a cello out of a fitted case on your own? It takes two people. Like all you need is for me to like pull a muscle in my back or scrape my hand on something and quit. But I mean, part of that is just people don't know any better, So like I'm pretty good at like I will let people know ahead of time, like here's what I expect when I walk into your room, and especially because like the economy of the art form is so tricky anyway, and so often you're working for programs that are struggling with funding, and so it's like, well, okay, like I want to help your band. I will give you this much time for this many dollars. You got to help me out a little bit. Just like if you have me for 3 hours, don't make me spend one of them unpacking.
Taking out.
Makes sense. Here's what you can do to help me spend your money better.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Let that be known, people with pans. Out of cases.
Out of cases.
Out of cases. Make it easier for your pan tuner. I was gonna ask you, wow, literally just slipped my mind. But we'll go to this one. Being in such a male-dominated industry, have you had any challenges as a woman hand tuner coming in? And if so, what were they? And how have you overcome them?
Yeah, I mean, of course. Yeah. I mean, just being a woman alive in the world, you could really ask any woman that about anything.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't know that it's overcome. It's a continual constant. And it's different in different places. Like they're like different cultures have different relationships broadly with women. Nobody is perfect, like in the US, it's less weird that I'm a female pan tuner than I'm a pan tuner at all. That's the weird part of what I do. But I mean, even here, like inside the world of academic, like I inside the US, I do a lot of work at like the high school and university level, and at which there are still very few female professionals, you know, like at the university level, like running programs, running companies, you know,
Yeah.
like we have a giant convention called PASIC. It's the Percussive Art Society International Convention that has an exhibit floor. And I'm somebody that runs a business that sells pans. But that's a subset of I run a business that sells percussion instruments, and I walk around this giant exhibition floor and there are no women anywhere.
Wow.
You know, like nobody else. I don't know of, I mean, I can't say this globally, but like I don't know of any women that own percussion instrument companies, you know, where like sometimes I'll have a booth at this convention, and like it has happened before that I'm standing in my booth, but maybe this, I'm 46 now, maybe I was 30, but still like a grown woman, standing in my booth next to a high school student who, like, I think he was a sophomore, you know, maybe 15 years old, and a small boy, you know, maybe coming up to my shoulders, and somebody walks into the booth and like starts asking him questions about the product, you know, and like, sir, do you really think it's more likely that the child is the boss of this company than the adult woman standing here?
Wow.
You know? Yeah, I mean, just like all the way through. I mean, there have been all kinds of challenges along the way of like, even like suspicion, like let's say I get a prestigious panorama job, you know, like there's suspicion that like there's something personal going on, or you know, like in Trinidad in particular, you know, like in the US it's weird that I'm a pan tuner, period. Like nobody knows what that is. In Trinidad, I go and I've gone through customs before, said, hey, I'm here to work. Like I'm a pan tuner, I have a contract, phase 2, like I'm doing this job, and they just laugh at me and like push me, like they just don't believe me at all. And I get it, you know. And you know, like in Trinidad, it's at the same time, like it's they know what a pan tuner is. They just don't believe that a white girl from America could actually do this, you know. So like I mean, there's a ton of it that is baked into just global sexism. Yeah. There's a ton of it that's baked into, like, I think very understandable, like, cultural caution, you know, like of, you know, like when I tell the story of Trinidad, which, yeah, I mean, I tell the story of Trinidad in schools in Laventille, you know, like that, like this instrument can be a passport to the rest of the world. Like so much of the rest of the world knows about Trinidad because of this thing, you know, that like, I don't know, where was I going? I lost my thought.
Okay.
Right. Women. Anyway, like
we can go.
The challenges as a woman are baked into like an individual identity of just otherness altogether. You know, in the US, nobody understands what I do. In Trinidad, nobody believes that I do what I do. You know, but at the same time, sometimes that's like incredibly meaningful and powerful. You know, like I was tuning for Tokyo. I say recently, a couple of years pre-pandemic. Tuning for Tokyo. I think this was then. And yeah, I meet such interesting people, you know, and Trinidad is such an interesting place altogether. Like, I mean, can you believe how much genius has come out of that one island? You know, from Nobel Prize winners to Miss Universe to Olympic gold medals, to
Everything.
But at the same time, you know, like I'm having tea with you know, some lovely grandma who is just like in tears because she knew Penn was an important thing. It was a real thing. She wasn't allowed to be a part of it.
Yeah.
But the fact that, like, what she's telling me is that your parents let you do the, you're a white girl from Maryland, you know, like your parents let you do this thing. Like, it was meaningful. It was like a validation for her,
right.
You know, and like, I don't know, like I know that I'm doing a lot of things. It's part of what I said at the beginning, you know, that my life is propelled by wanting to do something meaningful and impactful and important. And I don't quite know how and why, but like that's the motivation that propels me forward, you know. And so I have moments like that, and I just feel like I'm on the right track, you know.
You are definitely. You are for sure. So the question I was going to ask you before, because you mentioned invaders, I know they have an interesting layout for pan. Do you think, as a pan tuner, pan should be more uniform?
Oh,
so it's easy.
Standardization question.
Yes.
You're asking about... Listen.
Oh, I opened a box. Okay.
Everybody needs to stop worrying about standardization, because here's why. Okay. Number one, like the invader layout, it's fun. It's cool. It's historical. We love it. But most people don't use it. And so over the course of time, it will phase itself out. We're in the middle of a really, really young art form. At the same time, low C, circle of fist, tenor pen, pretty normal, right?
Yeah.
Except if you ask any pen maker, if you ask one pen maker to send you 5 low C tenor pens, they're drilling the holes in different places within 2 inches of each other. So if you have a school and you're trying to teach 5 kids to play an instrument that is interchangeable, but you have 5 tenor pans that, like, one's this way, one's this way, one's this way. Like, until we as a people who make pans can drill the holes on the closest to standardized pan we can, like, there's no point in talking about like broader, you know, standardization.
Right.
That said, I mean, that's a real thing. Like I'm not really joking about that. Yeah. It drives bonkers. But like, yeah, like people ask about standardization a lot, and I think it's the answer is closer to what I said at the beginning, that it's a young art form. People will figure out, hey, low E double seconds sound better than low F sharp double seconds as a rule, and they'll decide. Like we are still within a generation. Like Ellie Manette just died in 2018. You know, like the art form is super, super young, you know, and I mean, how old is the piano? And there's still people messing around with that, you know. I think most of the people that like think about the standardization are trying to solve logistical problems, and like I get that, like perhaps it's true, like within some of the percussion world, that like if you have a percussion ensemble that's traveling overseas, then you're not going to bring all of your marimbas and vibes, and you can expect that whatever you have when you arrive is the same. Yeah. I just think that's not really happening as much in pan to warrant like any kind of global consensus. Right. And at the same time, the world of tuners and builders is so small that we would just argue with each other all day anyhow. Like if you
Yeah.
told me the world is agreeing on F sharp double seconds, I would just say, no, I'm not doing that, you know, and like, it's too many cats to corral, you
Right.
know. Just give it some time. And at the same time, I mean, I do think one of the things that is fun about Pam is adjusting to different layouts.
Mm.
That's harder
Yeah.
for children, but like if you're an adult Pam player, like I don't know, like I feel like it makes your brain stronger. Like I've done it before. Like I went to the Virginia Beach festival one year and played with I think it was Eastern Kentucky University. They were doing the Annual Relator project.
Right.
And the band from Texas that was taking their instruments, and I knew the part on a quadraphonic, the cello part. I was playing the cello part on a quadraphonic.
Yeah.
But while we were there, we realized that the Texas band, like the truck was taking all the pans back between the first and second performances. So I had to adjust the entire program that I already knew on a 4-pan onto a 3-pan that the Eastern Kentucky had available. And you know what? I did it, and I'm stronger for it.
There you go.
So,
There you go.
does that answer your question?
It does. It does. I appreciate that. I like to ask all the pan tuners that to get a different perspective on what they think. And pretty much you guys are all saying the same thing. So
yeah. Yeah. We will agree to disagree and agree, you know.
Yeah.
We're all on the same page. Yeah.
For sure.
It's not hand tuners that want to standardize. I mean, we kind of do, but like it's we're just up against so many things.
Yeah.
I do believe that there are some things like, can we not globally agree on where to drill the holes on a low C circle of fifths tenor pan so they all hang the same way? You know, like you walk up to a tenor pan, sometimes the low C is centered, sometimes between the C and D is centered, you know.
Yeah.
I feel like drilling the holes could be something we could agree on. But yeah, I mean, you go down to bases, which like the most prevalent combination basis is a 6 bass.
Yeah.
But there's a 4 bass, there's a 5 bass, there's a 7 bass, there's an 8 bass, there's a 9 bass, there's a 10 bass, there's an 11 bass, there's a 12 bass.
Yeah.
I've seen more than that. But even still, it's like all these big loose drums that you can put wherever you want. You know, like the basses are the ones that are the least standard anywhere.
Right.
Besides which, you could do B flat and F on one pan, or you could do B flat and E flat on one drum. Or there are people that even try, because it's mathematically correct, to do a tritone, right? Like a B and E, because that's mathematically exactly halfway through the octave.
Yeah.
Bass are the worst, and they're the hardest ones to move around. So like,
yes, they are.
The whole point
I don't like them.
of like standardizing would be that like you can walk up and play. You could have a 6 bass set up, like laid out and set up in the exact same order, and they literally just have it turned the wrong way.
Yeah.
And not be able to. You know, we're very far from being able to standardize any of it.
Yeah.
Literally can't even drill low C tenor pans in the same place, you know.
I feel like that's one of your pet peeves.
Put it on the list.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. For those that are just joining, if you have any questions, please put it in the question bubble below. We have one from Judah. How do you think steel pan culture has taken progress in regards to steel pan tuning, education, and sorry, I'm just trying to get all this question. Education, and what are the steps you think need to be taken so we don't ruin all that work?
Yeah, I think that's a really important question. I think I understand what you're asking.
Yeah.
And I feel like like Trinidad is maybe like the healthiest place right now,
Mm.
but everywhere else globally, and it's not a problem in Trinidad,
Mm.
but globally, and I can speak very specifically to the U.S., we are in the middle of a crisis of pan tuners.
Right.
We don't have enough, we're not training enough people, and the art form is growing. It's very robust. But
Right.
for any pan that is ever made, you need someone to care for it at minimum annually. And I like how the question framed it as like to not waste all the work, or you could take one of Ellie Manette's most beautiful instruments. If nobody tunes it over 100 years, it's going to turn back into trash.
Right.
And so like I've had some experiences recently that is really like putting into focus for me, that like it's not imminent, it's not around the corner, it's happening right now. Like there is too much work to do.
Mm.
And there's lots of tuners in Trinidad. It's not super easy. There's lots of very talented tuners in Trinidad, like
Mm-hmm.
Augustus is great. Juma is great.
Yeah.
But like these guys are not, well, those guys are like they're traveling, but they're every pan that you ever sell to one person is a pan that needs care forever.
Yeah.
And people are buying new pans everywhere. We don't have enough people that know how to do this to take care of them, much less people who are really, really like in the top tier of talent and skill.
Mm-hmm.
We're in the middle of a crisis already. I speak to classrooms. I very much enjoy talking to students and young people that know how to use Instagram already. And like I can be sitting in front of them saying like, we need more tuners. If you are interested in doing this, you absolutely need to partner up with a master tuner and like learn the skill. We need you in here. And they'll say, oh,
Mm-hmm.
can we come study with you? And I say no. Like most tuners will turn down students because the economic ecosystem of the thing can't handle the educational part of it, right?
Oh,
So like,
okay. Yeah.
right, like if you wanted to learn how to come tune pans, first of all, I would say, sorry, you're too old. I need like a child.
Yeah.
Like no offense.
No, none
But
taken.
like, yeah, like I need somebody who is like still a teenager to like start being interested in this.
Mm-hmm.
But like you like in a normal like educational scenario, you would say, hey, Emily, you have a skill I want to learn. Like I want to learn how to play the drums. I'm going to pay you a tuition to teach me how to play the drums, and I would charge you money to learn how to do it. And that's not how an apprenticeship works.
Yeah.
And like if you did need to pay me a tuition for me to stop earning, like for me to teach you what to do, like I have to stop earning money for my company, for my business.
Yeah.
Well, you have to go get that money somewhere. So that means you're like working at McDonald's or you're waiting table somewhere. There's no scholarships available to you. And so at most you can only invest your time with this like halfway.
Yeah.
And that's not the kind of student I want, and so I'm doing it already. Like I have I've said yes to one person. I've
Right.
said no to a lot of people. I've said yes to one person, Maribel Alverson, who I've known for years, and we've been working to like she just finished she finished her college degree last year. We worked a lot during pandemic, and we're just coming up on a year of her being full-time as an apprentice.
Oh, wow.
But it's at great expense to myself, because
Yeah.
I basically am giving her a living wage to practice. Because when I say tuning is complicated and hard, I mean it takes years. I mean, like, I'm 20 years into this thing, and I'm still coming across new calculus and new solutions. I'm still getting better,
Mhm.
which is energizing and fun, but it's
Yeah.
super hard. Like, it's a hard thing to do, and the reason we don't have a lot of young people doing it is because there's no economic future in it. And
Mhm.
like why would you say, like, oh, hey, let me come devote a ton of time to learn how to do this thing, when I have to spend maybe 5 years being a student, and I can't actually earn any money during this time that I'm learning? Because, like, who's gonna hire a student to tune their pan?
Right.
Like,
Right.
hey, can I let Danielle practice tune on your special thing? Like,
Yeah.
like you have to be an expert at this thing before you can generate any income at all. So, like, I personally, like, I feel like I'm at a crossroads right now where, especially as a student of Ellie's, I am really powerfully motivated to the idea of legacy and, like, standing on each other's shoulders. You know, like, I wasn't
Mhm.
the kid that looked at trash in the street and said, there's a symphony in that thing. Like, I can bring out an orchestra. But he saw that, and I can stand on his shoulders, and I can look around for who's next.
Right.
But right now, I'm doing that on my own. I have a vision to be able to do that more broadly. Right now, I have to say no to everybody.
Right.
But, like, I mean, like, I'm literally in the process. I can't speak too specifically about whatever, but, like, I'm in
Mhm.
the process of, finding an Elon Musk, finding a Matthew McConaughey, finding a Michael Dell, who,
Yeah.
like believes in the importance of this thing, and, like, has enough to give as a patron to, like, get their name on a building. Like, the
Yeah.
only way that we can protect this art form is by finding it's all about money, right? Like, we got to find the funding to support the right kind of students in a way that they have the freedom to learn this art, you know?
Right. Wow. That was very powerful. Wow.
So let me
And
know
and it's true though.
if you know any billionaires,
I will send them your way.
yeah, send them my way. I have some good ideas.
So we have a few minutes left. I mean, an hour has gone so quickly.
Ah,
I have two questions for you
all
before
right.
we go. From what you know now, from all the time you've been in pan tuning, what would you tell the younger version of yourself, or anyone that wants to become a pan tuner, or a panist, or builder, or anything in the pan community?
That's like 15 different questions.
You can answer. You can answer.
Okay. Well, I mean, what I would tell myself is, honestly, like, I, you're on the right track. Like, you're making the right choices. You're doing the right things. Like, I feel really lucky that my own personal path has always felt, if not clear, kind of, I don't know the right word for it. It wasn't easy and it wasn't clear,
Yeah.
but, like, it wasn't obvious. But, like, I feel like so much of my life was really just like walking down a straight line. Like,
Mm.
I'm headed this way, I'm headed this way. And I feel like my instincts have led me well, you
Right.
know.
Mm.
I would never want to be young again. But yeah, I don't want to go back and relive that. But yeah, like, I feel like I feel like I would tell myself to have faith in what I was doing, that I was doing the right thing, you know.
Okay. Yeah. And that also
Um,
comes with like the panics that are coming up. Just have faith in yourself.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and I mean, a young to a young pianist, I mean, I'll tell you what I tell my apprentice Maribel is, that so much, like, I feel like I had an instinct for this when I was young.
Mm-hmm.
That so much of my success has been kind of understanding how to build relationships with people. You know, that like everything that you do with everyone impacts your life, like in a million different directions,
Yeah.
you know, and they come back, you know, like the gift of age, you know, is that like you see all these things come back, you know,
Yeah.
and to always be proud of what you do and do things that you're proud of, you know, that like do your best work all the time,
Mm-hmm.
um, and that it'll pay off, you know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that's the sort of thing I see when I look back. Like I was always trying my best. I was always trying to be my best person.
Mm-hmm.
And I like even I'm old enough that like we didn't have like cell phones and like videos all over the place, but I still feel like a lot of who I was the person as the person was like behave in a way that is like beyond reproach, you know,
Mm-hmm.
like as if somebody's I, I mean like not it, like I don't mean it to be like
Yeah.
conspiratorial at all, but like
Yeah.
behave in a way that you'll be proud of if you were watching a video of yourself after, you know.
Mm-hmm. That's that is good to know. And keep keep in your mind for future references.
Yeah, yeah, you know. And I mean,
Yeah.
I have literally watched people like suffer from that, you
Yeah.
know. And in this world, it's tricky, you know, because like a lot. I feel like we could talk for another hour, and I see like
We'll have
we're
you on
already
again.
up.
We'll have you
Yeah.
on again. We'll have you on again. Since you know how to use Instagram now, we'll have you on again.
But like so much of this world is like like even in the US or in part of like the Caribbean diaspora, like I've worked on several different continents, you
Mm-hmm.
know, but so much of like when a tuner comes in, you're coming in for some kind of celebration, you know, and so like you do all this work that's super alone, and then like there's some party because you're there, and then there's some concert or a carnival or something, and some party that you're leaving, you know, and like I feel like there's different personalities that can like intersect with that well, or like sometimes the loneliness of it is hard for people,
Yeah.
or sometimes the like it's too much madness and celebration, you know, like there's a lot of alcohol everywhere,
Yeah.
and like I've watched people struggle with just the lifestyle of hustle. Like a lot of what we do is a hustle, you know, like you got to move, you got to do, you got to work, you got to connect with people, and like I just always very much try to keep it front of mind that every person you meet, every relationship you have with anybody is is part of a bigger picture.
Yeah.
And I want to be the kind of person that my big picture self and my small picture self are really harmonious, you know. I want people to believe that I am who I show them who I am.
Love that. Love that. Dre, hello. Cool C. I see Juvan joined in earlier. Uh, Hisham joined in earlier. So many people. Hello.
Hello.
They all said hello before, and I'm just saying it now. One last question. What is one fun fact about you that no one knows? You're
Uh,
PG because I want to share this later.
I I don't think it's fair to really share something that no one
Just
knows
like,
anymore.
do you not like chocolate? Do you?
Mushrooms are the worst.
Oh,
I hate mushrooms.
you
Yeah.
hate mushrooms. Interesting.
Uh, I will say I don't think it's a secret, but if I have anything that can distract me from the world of Pam, I am kind of into the true crime, especially like the female empowered kind of like there's a perspective on true crime that is very empowering, you know, it's like that intersects well with a feminist perspective. So yeah, I'm kind of obsessed with
true crime.
True crime. Yeah.
Yeah. So am I. I don't think I'm that obsessed, but I love it. I enjoy it. I really do.
I mean, I wouldn't call myself self-obsessed either, but like I listen to it all the time, including when I need to fall asleep. So maybe, yeah.
Maybe it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
Well, we have hit our hour.
Favorite podcasts.
Yeah.
Later.
Yeah, for sure. You also have twins, and so do I. So that's a cool thing. That's a cool thing.
Yeah. Yeah, but you're done, right? Like yours are grown-ups.
So done. So done. I'll take care of other people's kids, but I'm done.
Is that a real offer?
That is a real offer.
I send your way.
I send them my way. I love kids.
Yeah. I mean, mine are great, you know, and like I'm a solo parent and doing my best to figure out how to like knit together my personal life and my family life, and it's interesting. They just turned 7, you know, so they're kind of transitioning out of like completely animal phase into like half animal, half human right now. You know,
the attitude's coming in, or has been there already.
Oh yeah. And different for the two of them. I mean, they showed up on day 1 different people.
Right.
But yeah, both of them like act like teenagers half the time, and I'm not ready for that. Like you need to.
You're never going to be ready. I'm telling you that right now. You're never going to be ready. Oh my goodness. Well, thank you for being on the show. It was an amazing conversation. Jimmy, you joined late. Kristen joined late.
Yeah.
Thank you for being on the show. You've dropped a lot of gems that I know a lot of people are going to take in and cultivate and make it their own. I would love to have you on again whenever you're free. I usually have an open discussion every once in a while. So if you see that, just pop in, say hi.
Well, thank you so much for reaching out.
Yeah.
My life is very complicated, and I'm all over the place, all over the time. Yeah. The calendar is pretty full, but I have windows, and I'm super glad that this window worked.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would love to talk to you some more.
Yeah, of course. Well, we have each other's numbers or emails. Yeah. We can definitely talk for sure. Yeah. And for those that are joined late, like Jimmy, I will be posting this on YouTube later this week, and it'll be on my Instagram page, so you guys can watch it whenever you like. Again, thank you so much. Thank you for everyone tuning in, and yeah, enjoy the rest of your week. Thank you for taking the time to talk to me today. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Awesome. Thank you. Have a good night, everyone. Bye.